What if we nuke stuff? Or how about we make this elephant explode? Or who could forget, look at this thing. It's really big. Humans are apes with smartphones, living on a tiny moist rock which is speeding around a burning sphere 1,000,000 times bigger than itself. Nothing can protect you against loneliness because it's part of your biology. Let's drop our nuclear pile in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, just to show nature who's boss. This is widely considered one of the biggest anime betrayals in evolutionary history. And you thought you felt lonely. "I'm a Hitler," you said, appalled. And you're the millions he killed. This very second, you are on a narrow ledge between life and death. Every living thing within 250 kilometers will start to burn. Einstein thought of it first and then decided it was stupid. So the whole universe, it's just an egg. We are already running a geoengineering experiment. We're testing how fast the world changes if we add about 40 billion tons of CO2 each year. This experiment is about to get really exciting. Loneliness is twice as deadly as obesity and as deadly as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Our cells have kill switches that make them commit suicide. Finally, a cell figured out how to eat the sun. Your body was so utterly shattered, large animals have much, much less cancer than they should. You were on your way home when you died. If this process is interrupted, even for a few minutes, you die. Picture yourself as a slinky falling down an escalator moving upwards. Most of them can barely be comprehended by a single human mind, and yet they function perfectly. Until they don't. A panicking humanity might accidentally press the self-destruct button. Solution 1. Evolve or become a blob of cancer. But even if we don't damage the ozone layer, there are other risks. Politicians and industry cutting a brain into tiny slices. Eating meat has increasingly been associated with health risks like heart disease, certain cancers, and an early death. Where our bomb explodes, the ground splatters like water when a rock strikes a pond. The World War of the Ants. Humans have historically been horrible. In and out. In and out. Humans have decided that war is not a thing that they want to do a lot anymore. Any satellite, astronaut, or space station in the way, though, will have a really bad time. As for the tiniest bits of junk, lasers might be the key to vaporizing them entirely. It also makes a difference what sort of life our meat lived when it was still part of a living being. So, we've covered the space around our planet with millions of deadly pieces of destruction. What seemed like a very complicated system to begin with gets even more complicated the more we learn about it. The larger ones could cause dinosaur-level mass extinctions and would be bad for the stock market. The only negative health effect of poultry is a bit controversial: fat. Regardless who's won the war, thousands lay slain on the battlefield. Our consciousness is trapped in mortal machines made of meat. You might be in an eternity of pain or paranoia, or having an endless psychotic breakdown. Orbital speeds are so fast that being hit by debris the size of a pea is like being shot by a plasma gun, kicking Earth out of the solar system. Needless to say, by now, almost everyone is dead. So maybe we should just not do that. Anyone close enough to get a good look will be exposed to fatal amounts of radiation. Is it possible to upload your mind into a computer? This grain of brain was cut into 25,000 slices. Well, we'd better get cracking then. Any astronauts watching the show within about 50 kilometers can expect to be fried. 3 generations ago, the world was just black and white. Well, it's complicated. Satellites with lasers wouldn't need to visit their targets, they can shoot them from far away. A small, toxic, and energy-poor planet that just about seems good enough for a colony of depressed humans huddled in underground cities. Although some planetary scientists will be very stressed out about us building a new planet containing a potential time bomb like that. How can a thing that might be dead hunt another thing that might be dead too? It's like suddenly discovering there are elephant-sized ducks everywhere. If you don't mind freezing and suffocating, you can now take a stroll over Venus's surface. Imagine a mouse crawling into your mouth and using your guts and bones and fat tissue to build a mouse factory. During this time, you were pretty useless for society and also not very free to make your own decisions. You can drown in a pool at age 7, get cancer at age 32, die in a car crash at age 48. A freakish one-way time travel trip to the future where your loved ones are long dead. If we just remove our giant mirror, we would grill half of our planet. A painful death by spaghettification awaits you. And then, nothing. Imagine a fleshy cube, which is unfortunate since food is not optional. In one instant, basically all of humanity gets smashed into red puddles. Imagine having 8 full water bottles sticking to you when you leave the shower. This is funky and doesn't explode, which is progress. Pitch black and under 1,000 atmospheres of pressure, it's a relatively pristine environment thanks to the absence of humans. A great place for our nuclear test. It helps us explain things, clowns around in the background, or dies a horrible and avoidable death. And even then, you only have a mini copy that needs years to become remotely useful. Still, the best beef is worse than the worst plant, but others say it can cause cancer and lead to an early death. Look at your body. It's mainly squishy, gooey, soft stuff. We get to experience feelings. First, you need to find someone who thinks you're cute. Science doesn't do a lot to make this less depressing. Unfortunately, your enemies in the tiny world have a huge advantage. Elephants, swans, and baboons that look like monsters right out of nightmares. More than 1,000 people have got their own bird. Elephants are huge meat sacks filled with trillions and trillions of little coal ovens. There's another serious issue: technological explosions and the first strike advantage. If we look at our history, it becomes clear we are dangerous. Like pregnant women. The murder university of your thymus. For a few more hours, the illusion of continuity was upheld, until it was not anymore. A few hundred or thousand years can turn conflict with uncertain results into a one-sided massacre. Our giant mouse looks very uncomfortable for a moment, and then it explodes. Parts of the solar system are far away, but they could be very close. Let's stop time. Here, we see the unnamed asteroid about to commit speciescide. A lot of the debris yeeted into space will orbit Earth for thousands of years. For sure, tsunamis hundreds of meters high would destroy coastal cities, earthquakes would level countries, new volcanoes would bring us nuclear winter. A big thing that spins and becomes smaller spins faster. First, our now tiny elephant stumbles around and then drops dead. The more animals suffer, the better they are in terms of climate change because they are way more efficient. You can imagine what happens next by imagining tossing a ball at a wall and it coming back faster than a bullet. How to steal energy from a monster. All you need to do is throw something massive at a planet to make it uninhabitable. Or we could blow it up. A good way to explain this is by asking you to imagine an army of cooks. If you come too close, they'll devour you and add your energy to their collection, which is a bad thing if you like living. Right now, it's like going up a mountain on a unicycle with a backpack full of explosives. We learn that we're made of many little dead things, which make up bigger things that are not dead for some reason. If we don't do anything, it will slow down and crash into the atmosphere. But here's our cheat code. We can steal this energy. The dog breaks all of its bones and dies in an unspectacular way, and the elephant explodes into a red puddle of bones and insides and has no chance to be annoyed. Imagine having to eat 2,000 Big Macs a day. How many dinosaur giraffes were there? Our videos induce existential dread in many people, and the last few minutes probably haven't helped. Smooth and round and peaceful. Except when it suddenly vomits radiation and plasma in random directions, which is scary and tragic and far from acceptable. But this is actually good news. Our home is burning. So everything's fine then? Well, let's not get carried away. Squirrels are omnivores that defend their territories fiercely. Okay, time to panic. These 3 tools enable seemingly stupid creatures to act in surprisingly intelligent ways. When these monsters hit us, nothing happens. Both should make you feel sufficiently tiny that lets you enjoy some existential dread in style. If you learned anything in this video, let us know what it was.